This is your Barbados Today evening news update for Tuesday, September 26. I'm Ryan Giltz. Police are probing the death of 66-year-old Ferguson Othniel Barton of Lucas Street, St. Philip. His partially decomposed body was found at his home around 6:30 yesterday morning. According to lawmen, Barton, who lived alone, was discovered by two of his brothers in the bathroom dead. They had visited last Friday, but after efforts to reach him on the phone failed, they went to the house yesterday. Police say a post-mortem will be conducted to guide their investigations. In other news this Tuesday, Barbados owes the Caribbean Development Fund a whopping $7 million. In fact, the country is the second highest debtor, just behind Trinidad and Tobago, which owes as much as $40 million. This startling revelation came today at the 6th meeting of funds contributors and development partners at the Accra Beach Resort. The fund's chief executive officer, Rodinald Somner, expressed concern that it was more developed countries within CARICOM that were way behind in their payments compared to the lesser developed countries, which only owed US $8.8 million combined. Sommer said it was urgent that Barbados and the bigger countries pay up.
We've received contributions from a lot of the LDC members of the CDF, not much from the MDC members, which is perhaps one of the reasons why Prime Minister Mitchell emphasized so much the need for us to have the MDCs come to the table, especially now. We are midway in our cycle. It is becoming critical for us to start getting these programs formulated and implemented on the ground. It's a 5-year cycle. We have enough resources to respond to requests from one or two of our member states, but given the state of readiness of many of them and the state of need, given that many of them are now financially compliant, we will need to have the resources coming rather quickly if we are to be able to respond as we should.
A call for the owners of derelict lands to clean your properties up. It's coming from the Minister of Environment, Dr. Dennis Lowe, who says it's a major concern across the country. He contends that the fine of 18 cents per square foot for delinquent landowners is not a deterrent.
Any penalty imposed can only be a penalty when it causes discomfort on the person upon which it has been disposed. Because if you will only be charged 18 cents per square foot to clear your lot, well, why would they clear it? I know there are lots that have been cleared multiple times, owned by public servants, owned by, like I said, some high-powered lawyers that have land in Chancery Lane, and would not. I passed through my constituency, I drove through that area on Sunday, and now it's becoming a wilderness. And you call them, you cajole them, and they still will not respond. So I understand that concern.
In her contribution to debate in the House, Christchurch West MP Maria Agard said it was completely unfair that taxpayers have to foot the bill to clean up properties of derelict landowners. She proposed that a penalty of $1 per square foot should be imposed and attached to the landowner's tax bill. 33 more persons will return to Barbados tonight after being evacuated by local authorities from Dominica this evening. They include nationals from 6 other countries, including 2 Barbadians. Meanwhile, the Foreign Affairs Minister, Maxine McLean, has appealed to Barbadians who were recently evacuated by authorities to contact the ministry urgently so that they can have information on their whereabouts and find out about those persons who have not yet returned. The ministry is also asking those who are back home to provide details on the date and method of their return. This, it says, will help to build a complete record of persons who were evacuated and build a database of those still in need of evacuation.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Good morning, Phillips & Company may I help? Oh, certainly. One moment, please. Miss Phillips,
Yeah.
there's a lady on the line from the Nation newspaper who would like to speak with you.
The Nation? Will she go on?
Well, they're trying to sell us some ads.
Look, don't make me laugh this morning. Ads in the Nation? They're real expensive, and for what here, nobody ain't buying them papers no more. Nobody want to steal news. I hear reading Barbados Today online for free. So I tell she thanks for calling, but no thanks. We just advertising Barbados Today, families. Tell she is Barbados Today all the way.
Okay, I'll pass on the message. Mom, are you still there? Oh, she put down.
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In regional news now, the Virgin Islands are facing a long, hard recovery after being battered by both Hurricane Irma and Maria. We get an update in the situation in this report from Fox News.
Two Category 5 hurricanes back-to-back in just 12 days. The eye passed 15 miles southwest of St. Croix. The governor of the Virgin Islands says he needs more help.
We're really ramping up on a plan on how we're going to rebuild resiliently as opposed to rebuild fast.
The view from a National Guard Black Hawk flown in from Tennessee gave a bird's-eye view of the damage from the air. Even the tombs in the cemetery appeared to be opened by the winds. 70% of the buildings in St. Croix are now damaged. There's no electricity. The islands of St. John and St. Thomas to the north are described as shredded.
The emotional ride of going through any hurricane is devastating. I mean, you begin to believe it's abating, and then it comes back more ferocious.
The above-ground telephone and electrical lines look like an unwound ball of tangled yarn. St. Croix escaped the brunt of Hurricane Irma. It was supposed to be the relief hub for St. Thomas and St. John to the north. Then Hurricane Maria hit. 1,200 National Guardsmen are now on the ground helping. 800 from the Virgin Islands. Many lost their own homes. They only have 11 helicopters, and the airport in St. John is still closed. General Joseph Langell, the National Guard chief, flew down from the Pentagon to figure out why St. Croix and the other islands aren't requesting more help. He fears it may be because of money.
I still think there's a lot of need. There's people who are stressed. I just talked to multiple families who've lost their house, who are staying in the shelters. My initial impression is it's going to be a while before this place returns to some sense of normalcy.
What's worse, these residents know they are only halfway through this hurricane season.
Meanwhile, petroleum suppliers in Dominica assure citizens there that there's no shortage of fuel in the country. At the weekend, several people resorted to looting essential supplies, including fuel, but representative of the West Indian Oil Company, Anthony Martin, assured them today that close to 700,000 barrels of diesel are on the island and more than a month's supply is due to arrive tomorrow.
There is absolutely no fear that there's going to be any shortage of petroleum products on island. As we speak, we have storage, we have inventory for 2 weeks, and as of tomorrow, our tanker will be here, which will be giving us further storage for another month. So we're expecting the tanker to be docking Wednesday tomorrow. So there's absolutely no need to panic. We have a lot of volume in stock. And if you combine West Indies oils, rubies, petrol, and the others, there's absolutely no need. So I really want to impress on the public to allow the utility companies, the emergency personnel who really need access to the service station, allow them to get that. Because when we crowd the service station with the biddles and the long lines, the emergency vehicles and operators cannot access the service station, and that is a great challenge.
Further afield, Saudi Arabia's King Salman has issued a decree allowing women to drive for the first time. According to the Saudi press agency, the order will be implemented by June 2018. Saudi Arabia is the only country in the world to forbid women from driving. Rights groups have been campaigning for years to allow women in Saudi Arabia to drive, and some women have been imprisoned for defying that rule. The move has been welcomed by the U.S. State Department, which called it a great step in the right direction. And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. Also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals or Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Mix 96.9. I'm Ryan Jilts. Good evening.